Shalom, friends. I want to tell you a story about how to make a political coup in Israel. Not a coup for the prime minister, although the method is really the same and it's been tried on that level. But I'm talking about on the layer of the municipalities, specifically here in our city of Harish in northern district, in the Haifa district of Israel. There's been really a successful political coup which was carried out by the police and the courts, which essentially removed a sitting mayor from being mayor. And it's not a new method, it's a method that's been tried, perhaps unsuccessfully in other places, perhaps successfully in many instances. The same method that the Republicans tried to do in America to remove President Clinton from the White House by impeaching him for having affairs with interns in the White House and then lying about it. It's a similar method, and I'd like to describe what was done here with success, sadly to say. Our mayor, on the 21st of April, which was 2 days after the Passover holiday, the mayor was arrested by the police and brought into the police station and kept there for 3 months, surprisingly, shockingly enough. And they waited many times. They waited about 3 weeks before they even bothered to indict him for anything. In the end, they indicted him for 5 minor sexual violations, sexual crimes. We're not exactly sure what they are, but they're minor crimes. That's their legal status. After this whole time, the police were dropping hints to the explicit information to the newspapers that he was likely to be charged with rape and things like this, which in the end did not happen. And after 2 months, finally a court said, well, just let the guy go home. But then the Haifa district attorney's office appealed that and said, no, we think he's dangerous and that he has to be kept in jail. So that appeal took another 3 weeks, but finally the court in Haifa said, no, there's really no reason to keep him in jail. And he went home to house arrest. By the way, at the same time, approximately that he went to house arrest, there was a woman in Israel who was arrested for plotting to assassinate the prime minister of Israel. And she was brought into the police and questioned for a while, and then she was sent home immediately to house arrest. So that was the judgment of the Israeli court system on the relative dangers to the public of various individuals. One way that we do know more about this, because it was hard to get hard information from any place about what was going on, is from an article that was published in Walla News on the 18th of May, approximately a month after our mayor's arrest, 18th of May of 2025. And in this article written by Yoav ATL, we have a description of the whole investigation against the mayor. In fact, Yoav ATL for this article interviewed people from the police investigative unit, which is called Lahav 433, I believe. He interviewed the head of that, the national head, and also the head of the Haifa district, which was involved in the investigation. In fact, their pictures appear in this article. You can see their pictures in the article. And they told they told much more than I think they should tell, but it's good for us to get an idea of what they did to hear their story. So they said they started this investigation many months before, and originally they had 2 women who were willing to say that the mayor somehow took advantage of them. And then whether this was at their urging or not is not said. It's suspicious. They said then a TV reporter did a expose, a television expose, so to speak, where he interviewed a woman who said that a number of years ago she was sitting in a car with the mayor and they were talking, and he put his hand on her leg, and later she felt that was improper, and that somehow he had acted improperly. And after this lady's story went on national television, so then these other women started coming forward and saying, "Oh yes, the mayor also did stuff with us." And the police were very happy about this. They were encouraging more and more women to come forward. And in the article, they say that there were descriptions of rape, but in the end, the women didn't want to sign a complaint on those things. They said, "Well, we've opened a new page, or we have reservations about it." So no one was willing to say that the mayor raped them, but 5 women were willing to say that he did something improper. And in this article, they also point out and the charges that the police and the courts tried to and did charge him with was like being unfaithful to the public charge, like saying he misused his public charge. Like what the charge was to often give people, like for example, if they take a bribe of money to help someone, they can be charged with this part of breach of public trust. And so he said this was breach of public trust because the mayor, in exchange for whatever it was, they're not really told what the nature of these sexual things were, for whatever it was. So they received some sort of benefit. 2 examples they cite in the article is that someone was made an assistant in a kindergarten, and another one, someone was made a corona monitor to help people get corona tests, which of course to me doesn't sound like any particular amazing benefit. If you told me they made them some big job, a big high-paying job or something, I might be more worried. But and these are jobs almost anyone can get anyhow, so I don't really see the big point here. But that's what the police. That's the examples they gave in the article. And then while this is going on, the poor mayor, in my opinion, because I think why I would say poor mayor, because I don't think people should be held in jail for this, and in fact, it's really unprecedented in Israeli history. There were other politicians accused of things, and some of them were convicted, but none of them actually were in jail before their trial. And so I just find it really appalling in terms of a civil rights perspective that the mayor was, sorry, there was a fly there, that the mayor was kept for 3 months in jail. But while he's in jail, almost immediately the state legal advisor to the government, in Hebrew it's called the Yoetzet Mishpati, the Memshala, who herself now has been removed from office because the government couldn't take her. That's a whole other issue. But she immediately put in to start the process of removing him from office because he was accused of a crime of moral turpitude, as she put it, and as the law, which was amended in 2013, reads that if a public official is like a mayor is accused, only accused, not convicted, but accused of a crime of moral turpitude, so then the legal advisor of the government can start the process of having him removed from office. And she did that immediately, and in the end, that's what happened when they finally released him. I don't know if it was a deal or not, but he was taken off from being. He's still officially the mayor, but he can't serve as the mayor. So I don't know what that means, but that's what they did. Essentially, removed him from office. And what I find particularly perturbing about this is that, and as it says in the article, that they confronted, I think they said that 18 times or something approximately, I advise you to read, if you can read Hebrew, to read the article or do Google Translate on the article from May 18th in Walla News on this. It's called, the title is mayor takes advice with ChatGPT for his crimes and gets softer sentence. That's the translation of the Hebrew title. But just look up Yoav ATL and you'll find it. So he said that they made these confrontations with the mayor between his so-called victims, and he said he was usually quiet, and he was silent and surprised. And he said in every instance, he said it was with Haskama. Anything that was done, and again, they don't tell us what was done, whether it was a hug, a kiss, or something else. Whatever it was a total Haskama. And also they point out that most of these women were either divorced or separated, or single moms. There weren't people who were even actively married or not in an active relationship with anyone. And that so they kept saying, no, we wouldn't have done it if we weren't in that position, and you took advantage of us. And he said it was with Haskama. And funnily or not, it says in the article that some of the women were even offended when they found out that there was other women that did. They thought they were the only ones, and my response is, are you offended or were you taken advantage of? Meaning, if you're offended that he had relations with other women, it sounds like you were a little bit yourself a little involved. So the point here is, whether a married person should be doing anything with anyone else is a question for Jewish law and for morality. But as far as I know, there is no in the Israeli law any crime in touching or kissing or whatever it might be someone else besides your wife. And therefore, I think it's wrong to keep someone in jail for that, and to call him dangerous, and to say that he has to be in jail so that he can't harm the public. And I think it's a real infringement of his civil rights, and which we don't have a constitution. We don't have those rights like in America, but we did sign. Israel signed in 1992 the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. And in there, it does say that people aren't allowed to be held against their, against their will, without being charged with something. They're allowed to be killed without having due process. They're not allowed can't be kept in jail without telling them what the charges are against them within a certain time. So I would say, in my opinion, that Israel did violate the mayor's rights according to that convention. And that's something we should be addressing, because it happens, unfortunately, not just in this instance, but happens in other instances as well. And it's something that really needs to change. And as I said, it's really just an example of the method that's used on a bigger method, a bigger scale. The same thing they're trying to do to remove the prime minister, and I also think that's wrong to try to drum up the charges to get someone out of office in that way. I think that's a decision that the electorate should make. Just take an example from America. Right now, the president is President Trump, and maybe many of us don't think he's someone we want to go out and play golf with ourselves or anything if we played golf, but as an Israeli, I feel, and also as an American citizen, I feel that he's done tremendous things for Israel, and I'm very grateful for him. Who else would bomb Iran? Who else would say to the Ayatollahs, you're busted? Not only you're busted, you're bunker busted. I remember over 20 years ago that talking to an expert on defense and missiles, and saying, well, why don't we attack Iran? And he said, well, we really can't, because we don't have those bombs. Those bunker buster bombs, only America has those bombs. But no president, until President Trump, was willing to step up to the plate and help us with that. And so we have a tremendous gratitude for him. At the same time, he's someone who lost a civil suit, whether it was justly lost or not, but I'm just pointing out that he lost a civil suit. A woman sued him for $5 million for supposedly raping her many years ago when she was some sort of reporter or whatnot. And whether that happened or not, I don't know, but the civil suit awarded her $5 million. And if that was in Israel, then obviously, well, that was a civil, not a criminal suit, which is really a more appropriate place to deal with these things. But had it been a criminal suit in Israel, certainly just like they removed the mayor, they would have removed President Trump from being prime minister or president, whatever it might be. And that's not the way things should be done. I think people should decide, because the truth is that I voted for the mayor in the last election, the first time I voted here in the city, and I felt he's doing a good job. Now, next time I could take in, if I felt that after hearing these things, if it was publicly held or publicly made known what these women are claiming, if I felt that he did something inappropriate, then I could take that into consideration. But I could also take consideration that maybe nothing. Maybe maybe he just hugged some people. I don't know what, or but I would just guess that it was all with agreement. I really think that it's hard to believe that he would go around doing things against people without agreement. I mean, politicians that might be sneaky, but they're not always stupid, and it's hard to believe that they would do something without their agreement. But that's something for the electorate to decide. Otherwise, you might think he's doing a good job. Just like you might decide President Clinton is also President Clinton, or President Clinton did with it. That was his second term, so that was, I guess, a moot issue. I think it was the second term. But the Republicans wanted to try to impeach him, which I thought was ridiculous, and also this is ridiculous too. I'm disgusted that our mayor has been removed from office because some women accused him of doing things which they probably were totally involved with also and agreed to, so they could get a job to be an assistant in a gun or whatever it was. And maybe not just people, adults do things, they hug, they kiss, they do things that they should or should not do. But it's no reason, in my opinion, to remove someone from office without an election. And it's certainly no reason to keep him in jail for 3 months. So let's hope that over time we can improve the situation here in Israel, the civil rights situation, and the balance of powers, and the proper use of the justice system, and not the improper use. Amen. Thank you for listening. I'd like to hear your opinions.